Tonight, students in the Northwestern Local School District preparing to go back to school following an unimaginable last 48 hours. On Tuesday, 11-year-old Aiden Clark was killed when the school bus he was in was hit by a van and it rolled over. Now, as classmates prepare to go back to school, many are wondering what the next steps for the district are.
Abby Forbes spoke with their superintendent about what's going to be happening in the upcoming weeks.
The superintendent explained to me that classes are set to commence tomorrow and sports have already been continuing with a volleyball game tonight and a football game tomorrow evening as well. In the meantime, there was a grief counseling available and the staff attended training to prepare for students coming back into the classroom. The superintendent told me that they will continue to have more people available as they return. He also told me that the school understands everyone grieves differently. That is why they are trying to get people back into the classroom.
We know that we're going to have students that aren't going to be ready, and that's okay. They can take all the time that they need, but we also know that we have students that they need to be here. This is what makes them feel safe.
The school district explains that they have been experiencing an outpour of support with people wanting to donate. So it is providing a way for people to do just that. To contribute to those donations, the district asks that you contact its treasurer, Jenna Oshbog, at oshbogj@nwlschools.org. This is to make sure that those contributions are distributed correctly. Back to you.
Abby, thank you. Now, the funeral has been set for the boy killed in Tuesday's school bus crash. 11-year-old Aiden Clark will be laid to rest on Monday. There will be a service at Fellowship Christian Church in Springfield at 11 o'clock in the morning, followed by a family gathering. His visitation will take place at that church on Sunday at 2 in the afternoon. The family writes in his obituary, quote, "He was truly a unique, caring, and inquisitive soul and was one of the most awesome and exceptional 11-year-olds in existence. Aiden loves sports, learning, gardening, Minecraft, old school board games, and snuggling with anyone." If you'd like to support the family and community, you can send flowers, trees, or condolences, or share a memory with the Clark family.
The man accused of driving the minivan into that school bus during that deadly crash appeared in court today for the first time. Through an interpreter, Hermanio Joseph pleaded not guilty to aggravated vehicular homicide. Investigators say Joseph's vehicle was the one that went left of center on State Route 41 Tuesday morning, colliding with that school bus. Troopers say Joseph did not have a valid Ohio driver's license. Additional charges are being considered and could be announced as early as next week.
Now, of course, we first brought you This Is Breaking News. As soon as it happened, you can get those alerts sent right to the palm of your hand. Download the Dayton 24/7 Now app. It's so easy to do. Take out your phone, scan the QR code you see there on your screen. That'll take you to your app store where you can download that for free. And of course, we will continue to provide you the very latest updates on this story, both on air and on our website at Dayton247now.com. The most up-to-date information can be found on our homepage.
Former President Donald Trump has now surrendered to authorities in Atlanta on charges he illegally tried to overturn the 2020 election in that state. Now, behind me is the first look at the first ever mugshot of a former American president. Now, Trump was released on $200,000 bond. The whole thing took about 20 minutes. He's now back on his way home to New Jersey. For an average defendant, the process, including fingerprinting and a medical exam, can take hours. Trump faces 13 counts related to alleged attempts to overturn President Biden's victory in Georgia. Now, he spoke earlier tonight, calling the indictment election interference.
When you have that great freedom to challenge, you have to be able to, otherwise you're going to have very dishonest elections. What has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong, and everybody knows it.
Now, Trump will have to return to the courthouse at a later date for arraignment unless the judge allows it to be held virtually or it is waived.
And there is a chance the trial in Georgia could start in just 2 months. Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis is now calling for the trial of former President Trump and his 18 co-defendants to begin October 23rd. She originally proposed March 4th of next year, but one co-defendant requested a speedy trial. Legal experts say even the March 4th date, though, was ambitious. And coming up at 11:15, we're going to have more coverage from Donald Trump surrendering to authorities in Georgia. We'll hear from him, along with what next steps need to happen before the trial begins. Meanwhile, tonight, search and rescue efforts still underway in Maui after those deadly wildfires. As of now, we know 115 people have died. At this hour, all but 8% of the total area impacted by the fires still needs to be searched. Now, the deadly fires erupted more than 2 weeks ago and destroyed the historic town of Lahaina.
And with those rescue and recovery efforts underway in Maui, 3 members of our Ohio Task Force 1 are currently there helping with the search. Gwyneth Falloon spoke with that team, joins us now live in studio. And Gwen, they've been in Hawaii a little over a week now. What's next for them?
Yeah, Adam, I spoke with Canine Manager Melissa Morgan. Now, she didn't deploy to Hawaii last week, but she's been on numerous missions. She tells me team members, they're going to stay until they're no longer needed. But at some point, local authorities will decide that FEMA is no longer needed, and they're going to begin to pull back on resources.
They'll get their demobilization orders, and then we'll figure out flights and get our handlers back, and then give these dogs and handlers some time to rehab.
Now, when you talk about rehab, how important is it for these canines and their handlers to have a little bit of time to process what they saw and dealt with?
Well, that's a great question. It's very important, more so for the handler, though, than the dog. These team members, they're away from their families for weeks at a time and bringing some devastating news to some of these families. But Morgan, she tells me it's being able to bring that closure that helps her get through even the hardest days. I also spoke with Nick Fothergill. He's one of the 3 team members deployed last week. If you'd like to hear from him, head to our website, Dayton247now.com. Back to you.
And new today, Maui County is suing Hawaiian Electric over the devastating wildfires that wiped out Lahaina. The county says that the utility company failed to shut off power despite warnings high winds could blow power lines down and spark wildfires. The cause of the fires have not yet been determined. Hawaii Electric hasn't publicly responded to the suit.
All right, back in our area now, and it feels like an oven when you step outside, and that's going to continue, it sounds like, for at least another day here.
Yep.
I thought this was from this morning. We talked about this at 10. This is right now.
Yeah, this is what it feels like right now. So it feels like 92 in Dayton. Not really a comfortable evening to be outside at all.
Not at all.
Very steamy, 91 in Troy. You step outside, I wear glasses often, and when you walk into the AC outside, they fog up immediately. That's what's going to happen if you step outside and you're wearing glasses, or if you have a camera lens, anything like that. 87 in Eaton, 89 is what it feels like in Greenville. It feels like 89 in Sydney. So it is overall a very steamy evening. Off to our north, though, we have some storms. So this is something we're going to be watching very closely through the evening, as we could see some of these storms right here in the Miami Valley. They would bring a low wind risk for severe storms, severe thunderstorm watch just off to our north. So we'll be monitoring this closely. Biggest chance will be for our northern counties. But for the day tomorrow, going to be another hot one. Could see a few lingering showers in the morning, but overall another hot day with highs in the lower 90s.
Natalie, thanks. Well, the heat can be especially hard on student athletes. And tonight, Eaton hosted Richmond, Indiana for Thursday Night Football. Lydia Bice was there tonight with what precautions both sides took to keep the athletes safe.
So I've spoken with both coaches and an athletic trainer from Eaton and Richmond, and they say that their teams have been preparing all week long to play in these extreme temperatures tonight. So both coaches said that they've been preaching all week that their teams should be eating plenty, drinking plenty of water, and getting a good night's sleep each night. Now, I also spoke with Katie LaRue Martin from Kettering Health, and she says that these extreme temperatures can lead to heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Here's what she says to look out for.
So with heat exhaustion, you'll start feeling things like dizziness, nausea, headache, maybe vomiting. If you're feeling any of those things, make sure that you tell your coach or your athletic trainer at your school.
Now, if you want to read more on how to keep yourself safe during these extreme temperatures, or how to keep your child or your own student athlete safe, you can head to this story on our website, Dayton247now.com, where I have some tips listed for you. Back to you.
Lydia, thanks. Abortion rights activists are calling out the language you're going to see on the November ballot. Now, the Ohio Ballot Board approved it this afternoon.
Now, activists hope to certify abortion access in the state, but say the wording is, quote, misleading. Paige Barnes is here with what you can expect.
The objective of the ballot measure is the same, to allow individuals to carry out their own reproductive decisions. That includes contraception, abortion, and fertility treatment. The original wording submitted by petitioners used fetus, but what you'll most likely see in November is unborn child. It acknowledges the procedure might be prohibited if the baby can survive outside the womb, but if a physician determines an abortion is needed to protect the life or health of the woman, then it would be legal. It doesn't address cases of rape or incest after the viability stage, or the specifics about the baby's health.
The whole thing is flawed. All of the language, the way that it's constructed, is misleading. Specifically, that term unborn is not a medical term.
That was Paige Barnes reporting. Now, the other added confusion is the name of the measure. This past August, Ohioans voted on Issue 1 to amend the state's constitution. Come November, Issue 1 will be a reproductive rights decision.
A woman was hurt this afternoon when a camper exploded in Darke County. Gettysburg fire crews responded to Hahn Road when the woman called 911 saying she couldn't get out of the camper. Now, crews were able to get her out and take her to Miami Valley Hospital. She's in critical condition tonight. The Darke County Sheriff's Office is going to be doing a joint investigation with the state fire marshal because that fire is considered suspicious. They're also considering criminal charges.
Tonight, a special tribute to the former mayor of Miamisburg. Congressman Mike Turner and Mayor Michelle Collins announced parts of the Mound Connector will be renamed after former Miamisburg Mayor Richard Dick Church. He served as mayor from 1992 to 2020, the longest tenure in the city's history. He passed away in December of last year. Congressman Turner says this will keep Mayor Church's legacy alive.
Mayor Church's legacy and accomplishments continue to be felt, and there is no one more deserving of my dear friend, Mayor Richard C. Church.
Now, Congressman Turner also announced he secured $1 million in federal funding for the Mound Connector. The money will upgrade Miamisburg Springboro Pike and finish the last part of the Austin Center interchange, which Mayor Church advocated for.
Former President Donald Trump arrested and booked on charges related to the 2020 election, the latest on his fourth indictment tonight.
Democrats pushing for President Biden to do more on student loan debt. The options Biden says he still has after his original forgiveness plan was denied by the Supreme Court.
And tracking another chance for storms tonight and a hot day tomorrow. I'll let you know when we finally cool off. That's coming up. Here's a live look from our Eco Plumber Skycam. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
Earlier this evening, the 45th president of the United States turned himself in at the Fulton County Jail in Georgia, his fourth arrest that had brought 91 criminal charges.
Now, with this case taking place in a state court, it's already proving to bring us a unique look at the justice system as it unfolds. Christine Frizzell reports.
Welcome to just the latest chapter of what's been a growing list of indictments against the former president, who continues to insist he's a victim of political persecution. An unprecedented snapshot in history, the first mugshot of a former American president, Donald Trump, surrendering at the Fulton County Jail for his alleged role in trying to subvert the 2020 election in the state of Georgia. He was processed and released on a $200,000 bond under an agreement he would not intimidate witnesses and co-defendants, including on social media, an agreement that legal scholars say may loom large in the case.
Can they threaten revocation of bail if he says things that he believes helps his campaign, but which the authorities believe may endanger the neutrality of his case? That is a very difficult and delicate balance to strike.
Trump defiant as he headed back to his plane.
What has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong.
Most of his 18 co-defendants have already surrendered, including 3 of his former attorneys and his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows. The 4 indictments called politically motivated by some, while others, including former Trump allies, have said the president did appear to commit several crimes.
All conspiracies involve speech, and all fraud involves speech. So, free speech doesn't give you the right to engage in a fraudulent conspiracy.
Some raising concerns over threats of violence.
Are you worried that they're going to try and kill you? Why wouldn't they try and kill you, honestly?
They're savage animals. They are people that are sick, really sick. We have a country that's very fragile right now.
It's a country also in the midst of the 2024 presidential campaign. 8 of Trump's rivals on stage Wednesday night for the first GOP debate, while Trump has maintained a hefty lead in the polls, which has only appeared to grow with each indictment. Looking ahead, District Attorney Fani Willis has filed a motion to set the trial date for this October 23rd. That is less than 2 months away. In Washington, I'm Christine Frizzell.
You can read more on our website at Dayton247now.com. The latest information can be found on our homepage.
Well, it was a very hot and humid day across the Miami Valley, but it could have been even hotter. We had some heavier rain and storms make their way in through the overnight hours, lingering into the morning. Here's a loop of that. What we saw from earlier today started about 2 a.m., continued until about 9 a.m. this morning before we cleared out pretty quickly, and then temperatures warmed up very quickly too. So we're going to continue to monitor the potential for these storms as we head through the overnight hours. So right now we are in the 80s. Dew points are in the 70s for us, so it's a very steamy evening, but those feels like temperatures, they are in the 90s at this time. So I've been talking about those storms. We have a level 1 threat for severe storms overnight. It's a low end risk, but something we're going to be monitoring very closely. So coming up, I'm going to be timing out that threat for you. Plus, when we could finally expect some cooler weather on the way coming up in just a bit.
Natalie, thanks. Some Democrats in Congress are saying President Biden needs to do more about student debt. NBC News is reporting nearly 90 Democrats in Congress, including Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, have signed on to a letter to the president. Now, they acknowledge Biden's student loan cancellation plan was struck down by the Supreme Court, but say he still has options. It comes after the president recently announced a new plan called SAVE that reduces monthly payments and eliminates interest.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. As long as I'm president, my administration will never stop fighting to deliver relief to borrowers and bring the promise of college to more Americans. And that's a commitment.
Now, the president says the plan will minimize the risk of unaffordable payments and ballooning debt. Borrowers can sign up for the new plan at studentaid.gov/save.
Well, how far do parents' rights extend when it comes to having a say in their child's education? Texas State Board Education member Stacey Childs drew a line in the sand during a school choice panel, which was hosted by Crisis in the Classroom.
I think parents should know what their students are learning or what their children are learning. However, I don't think that gives rise to allowing us to manipulate what has happened in our country, manipulate the truth, and cherry pick what we're going to teach students.
Now, there's been nationwide debate over curriculum, with many conservatives pushing to eliminate courses as they term as critical race theory. Others have noted that there's been pushback on teaching Black history, with some white parents arguing it teaches their children to be ashamed of who they are.
Another question that was raised during that same debate was, how much should teachers be paid? That same panelist said no teacher should earn less than 6 figures.
It's no reason that every teacher in America is not making over $100,000 a year. This is a profession, just like being a doctor, just like being a lawyer.
And she cited the stress of the job and teacher struggles to pay their bills as justification. U.S. teachers earn over $66,000 per year on average. The average salary for U.S. public school teachers has consistently increased for more than 40 years. The president, though, is among those calling for teacher pay increases. You can watch that full discussion on YouTube right now, either through the National Desk's page or just search Crisis in the Classroom Town Hall.
Now, we want to give you a live look right now over the Gem City from our Eco Plumber Sky Cam. It is still super hot out there. I think that's a technical term. We'll send it over to Chief Meteorologist Natalie Walters.
Super hot, yes. Super muggy, soupy. Yeah, all of those terms apply to this evening. Now, we do have some storms in the forecast. I've been talking about that. We have the potential for storms overnight as we have a frontal system make its way in. So here's just a look at one forecast model. Now, we have seen, as of last night, too, with those storms that developed, that these models aren't necessarily handling these systems very well. But we do want to be prepared for the potential for some storms. This is about 2 a.m., some storms moving into our northern counties, very similar to what we had last night. Continuing to push their way southward. This is about 4 a.m. Could see some storms, some gusty winds to maybe an isolated damaging wind gust as that makes its way through. And then we start to clear out by the day tomorrow with highs back into the lower 90s again. Still very muggy, but we do have some cooler air on the way. Next several days, take a look at this, back into the lower 80s by the start of next week, and lower humidity will arrive too.
A stolen sculpture in Cincinnati making its return. Why you won't want to wait long to see it for yourself, coming up.
You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
Cincinnati's stolen wolf statue will soon be back in Eden Park. Well, sort of. After it was stolen last summer, one group got to work building a replica, and it just arrived from Italy today. Luke Jones shows us why you won't have to wait long to see it yourself.
For decades, a bronze wolf and her 2 suckling boys captured the hearts and minds of Eden Park's visitors. Ray Boston as a young boy visiting with his aunts.
They say the first few times I saw it that they said, "Oh, don't get too close. That thing will bite you."
Or 11-year-old Ibrahim Sissay taking pictures with the Capitol Line wolf every chance he got. Until one day last summer.
I was like, how did that get there? I thought it was right there. I thought I was just hallucinating.
Someone had hacked off the wolf, leaving only the paws and the suckling twins, Romulus and Remus, a gift to the city from Rome's governor in 1931, desecrated.
Could not believe that somebody would do that. Not to Cincinnati, but to me personally.
Days after the theft, the group Order Sons and Daughters of Italy and America got to work on a replacement. They raised $60,000 to have it recast in Italy. More than a year later, that replica finally arrived in Cincinnati Thursday.
We opened the crates about 1:30 and everybody just stood there and stared at it. It was just beautiful to see it.
Well, we're going to take you back out to Eaton tonight, where the Golden Eagles took on the Richmond Red Devils. How the home team was able to score early and often as they look to start the year 2-0.
You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.